Welcome to the Old World Fanatics, your Warhammer Fantasy podcast to quench your hobby thirst for all things the old world. I'm one of your hosts, Gommo. I'm back as usual with Andrew and Josh. How's everyone today?
Oh, I'm good. Apparently the best.
Yeah, you're definitely the best. 2 out of 3 of us gone down with Nurgle. I can't believe I'm still struggling a little bit after last week. But anyway,
I know,
now Josh has got it.
Now, I don't know why it's some sort of seems to happen after every tournament, but someone always seems to get sick.
Yeah.
Hangover.
Yeah, I mean, could be.
I'm definitely feeling it right now.
Yeah, I was just telling the guys my youngest has gone down with influenza A just the day before. We're actually recording a day early because, sorry, I'm actually going away for school holidays without the kids. Kind of funny. This one we've booked in for a while. But now one of my kids is sick. So anyway, we'll see how it goes tomorrow. So I just thought let's jump on a day early. Josh has been playing some games at Gathering Darkness. So we want to talk to him about that stuff and then maybe, have a chat about we've played some games. You've played some games. We've got Castle Assault coming up. Let's have a quick look through the missions and see if we think we're going to take what we think we're going to take, I guess, after we've played a couple of tournament games. So anyway, and hopefully people can live with the sniffling and stuff, me and Josh at least. So cool.
Hopefully. I'll try to mute it if I really have to make some noise.
It's just the international listeners just have to understand it's winter over here, and I think we're all getting smashed with it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway, let us just kick into the usual show. We've got no news, but we'll just give a quick shout out to our patrons as usual before we start. These awesome people chose to jump on the bandwagon of our Patreon group and give us $2 a month just to help some of the costs of producing the show, which has been really awesome. Not only this show, but some of the YouTube ones we do as well. But, for that, they get access to a little private Patreon Discord channel on our Discord and also a shout out right now, which I'll do. I just also, if you are watching on YouTube, we now have a little scan code down there. If you want to scan that, it just goes to a bunch of links like our Patreon, but also other ways you can support us and other links that we have out on socials. So it's just a little easy thing.
Pretty professional going on there.
So techie.
It is. So that was Sexy's, our newest patron from last week. Sexy telling me we should do that. So I went, it's a good idea. We used to have it on our old host thing, but Restream doesn't have it, at least that I could see. So I had to make it. But that's all good. So a big thank you to Sexy. He was our latest guy. And then Jelly, Contrasting Hobby, Herald of the Old World, Keel Hurd, David Lancaster, Tom, Matthew Klein, Thumper, Matt Morris, Thomas Vavasow, Griff, Jess Tors, Wood Duck, Josh Griffiths, Nananawim, Daniel Broadstock, Jonathan Wengler, Elliot Mitchum, Chris Turnbull, Gilthos Draconos, Julian Diesel, Cameron Atkinson, Daddy Gamer, William Payne, Robert Z, Dr. Willie Tickle. And it's a really cool, scary doctor. Wants to tickle Willie.
That's incredible.
Andrew Harris, Bobby Gherkin, Gumwich, Sean Ritchie, Todd Lloyd, and Chapstack. And so thanks, guys. That's 34 of you awesome people keeping us coming back every Monday also, whenever we record usually. I want to shout out at least 2 of these patrons too. And I might get this wrong, so apologies if I missed someone. But we've been talking a little bit about the SBOT, the Square-based online tournament. A couple of our patrons are playing it at least. And I watched Sean smash up some poor Chaos Dwarf player last night. Sean's undefeated at the moment after 3 rounds. That's going pretty good. He's high elf, so big.
Yeah,
awesome. So
I'm copy and paste that list.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we'll, good luck, Sean. I think there's only 5 games. I think they're doing it like a tourney, so it's like a GT. So there's only 2 more weeks. I might be wrong with that, but I think someone said 5 games. So I'm going off what New Recruit says. And then Jelly, one of our latest guys, who's the Tomb King player, who said he wasn't going to be a patron until I learned how to use the dragon, but then joined. So maybe he's got more confidence in my dragon use.
Yeah, that's showing some faith. That's really showing some faith.
But he is 3-zip as well on there.
Nice.
So I just wanted to give those 2 guys a shout out. And if I've missed some others, it's a bit tricky trying to match people's, patron names with their New Recruit names. And so There's
It
possible
is.
I've missed a few, but
Mm.
they're actually, I think Nananawim's playing in it too, but I haven't seen him play. Anyway, just wanted to do that. I know you guys didn't know I was going to do that, but I just wanted to give them a shout out and good luck for the
Yes,
next
sweet.
2 rounds.
Yeah, smash it, boys.
Yeah.
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 I don't know what they'll do. Do they do a? It just seems like 100 people. You probably need more than 5 rounds, but I don't know. Who
Yeah.
knows? Cool. So
There's
no
pretty competent
news.
On Patreon's going on.
Yeah,
More,
I know they're actually pretty good.
more
We'll have to get
competent than
some more
us.
back on. Yeah. I'm just going to skip straight through to a bit of hobby if you guys want, just so we can smash into the topic. Andrew, do you want to go first? Did you do anything?
Oh, just what I sent you guys. I just put together.
Oh, did you send me something?
Oh no, I think it was just the messages.
Oh,
Maybe-
during the week. Sorry, I thought you meant now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Anyway, just with the possible list I was going to bring to Castle Assault, I put together a necromancer on.
Abyssal Terror?
Yeah, Abyssal Terror. Yeah, I think so. I don't know what that model is. It used to be some weird sort of little sort of like
I don't know.
undead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
little
weird looking dragon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
so
not whatever it is. It's not really a dragon.
whatever it is,
Yes,
yeah. So I thought, I wanted like a smaller dragon or something, and anyway, something a little bit old school, but not super old school. And I thought something that might fit in, even though it looks a bit funny, is what's his name? Zacharias, I think. The Ever Living. And I don't know. I built him, and I know he's a vampire, but he kind of looks like a bit like a. I should have brought a picture up actually if I was. Yeah, but anyway, his sort of like, you know how you get like the vampires and their is it the. I'm trying to think of the vampire, but it's the bloodline that is aligned to the magic side of it, so they're not very combat orientated.
Is that? Not
The name
Lamia.
escapes me at the moment.
No.
It's not Lamia.
Some of the
But
other ones.
anyway, yeah, his he kind of looks like a wizard, I suppose. But anyway, I put the model together, and it kind of looks all right, but it's just the pose. Like he's doing this weird like little wiggle dance. It's kind of like midair, like it's kind of like.
I don't know what appendages does he actually have on the ground? Is it? Oh, he does have 2 feet and a tail on the ground.
Yeah,
does he?
but he's got 1 foot in the air, like 1 leg in the air, and then he's got one.
No, so it's a tail and a foot on the ground.
Yeah, tail and a foot, 1 leg in the air, and then he's got 1 arm up and 1 arm down. He's doing this weird. Yeah, I know. So is that
weird.
Look up if anybody has no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's Zachariah or Zacharias, the Ever Living. It's the pose. I can't get over this pose. But anyway,
it's doing
I'm
the Van
committed
Hals
now.
dance macabre. That's what it's doing.
Yeah, it's doing something. So anyway, he's doing this
It's
little.
a Necroarch, isn't it? Isn't that the
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. You guys are all over it.
No, I'm not.
So anyway, is built, and he is Zenithal primed, ready to go. So I just need to paint him now. See how long that's going to take.
Hey, just question: am I coming through? Okay, because bloody StreamYard is telling me I've never seen this icon come up, but it's like your Wi-Fi is a bit slow and maybe plug in. But I'm like, I just did a speed test and it's fine.
It's all good.
So
okay, looks good.
Cool. Hopefully,
who's
it doesn't
next?
come through.
Josh.
Do you want to go, Josh? Because then I'll go and it'll break you. Then you're going to go about talking through your games. Just break you up a little bit if you want, so you're not talking forever. That's what you did in your hobby.
No, I did not do any hobby. I think because we recorded, what was it, Tuesday last week?
Yeah. We haven't. Yeah, that's right. It's only been 5 days.
I've been I worked 3 days, was at the tourney, and then today I didn't have any time. So no, I've done zero hobby related stuff
All
aside from
good.
playing games on the weekend.
Unlike you, Josh.
Nothing
What's
to
going on?
report.
A slack.
Even better. It's gonna be a quick episode.
We'll have a week off.
You're allowed when you're playing games, though. You only, that's the thing. If you're not stressing for getting the army done, then you generally, you probably don't have much hobby.
No.
The only thing I was doing was playing around my printer again, obviously. So I am printing,
Nice.
and I don't know what. Like, I've been mentioning this. I'm putting a dwarf army together just so I want to get my old mate playing. So I'm reprinting out warriors. I did print warriors out first. Oh, they're not warriors actually. They're the rangers. But I did them in 100%. So I'm doing some others that are in the 93, whatever I chose it at. But I did the Highland Rangers, and then I did just sent this to you guys, a quick purple and white scheme. He's not highlighted. This was just contrast and some layering on the white just to sort of see, and testing out the basing, because I wanted to get a basing that was quick by using just stuff off from the shop. Like, I didn't want to make anything myself. So like, it's got like a wet mud effects paint and then just this other snow stuff, which I've got like powder snow as well, and I sort of mixed them together so you get that sort of different textures and stuff. So I just whacked that down just to see what it's like. And it was either that, it's either going to be that purple and white or maybe an orange and white, because I have seen another cool army pick of an orange and white scheme that is on the Highland Discord group, which looked pretty cool as well. But I don't know, I might go with purple because I haven't painted anything purple, so I'm like, might be.
Are you painting this for your mate?
Yeah. This is my army. I just want to have a dwarf army that he can come around and play. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're giving him an army all painted. I was like, that's quite a kingly gift.
Nah, I'll have it.
I'll have it.
If he ends up,
you can just borrow it.
He can borrow it. But it was just the other thing too. I'm finding with the dwarves with the 3D printer is they're like the quickest things to print because they're not very tall, so I could get more stuff through it and play around and stuff. Whereas once you start printing like those big beastman monsters or something, it takes like a day just to finish almost. So just playing around with that. But I've had this eBay listing on for scenery for what's it called? What is this group? Battleground in a box or Battlefield in a box or whatever that pre-painted scenery is.
Yes.
And I don't know if they were out of business. They weren't doing anything. And I've had this search on eBay, and then this week it went bang, 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 came up with all these like new listings, and they're pretty cheap, and they're like the postage was free. And I went, bugger it, and just bought like a set. So something to go with our desert theme stuff, Andrew, because I could print all this off, but I was like,
you could totally print it
off.
You could totally print it off.
Bugger that. For like $80, I just went, nah, done. That'll do. And I am actually looking at. What was that?
I want to see if I bought off this guy as well.
I think there.
I mean, you're right. It is
or something.
Once you add up the time invested in printing it off, prepping it, painting it all.
Yeah, and it depends what it is. Like this is the type of scenery I'd rather like have if someone wants to like if we take it to a tourney, because it's like all done. It's pretty tough, and I don't like. Whereas I think the resins, if I'm doing my own and painting it, I'll probably want to like look after it a bit. Yeah. But I did start looking at some resin dwarf and other scenery stuff, and I'm playing around with. Sorry, I'll go to the end one. This guy needs to be cut up, which I did do in Mesh Mixer, but I haven't actually printed it yet. But I was just like, it's like a big tomb opening thing. I thought that would be cool for Impassable, but also like as a display board piece as well. So I might do a big print soon in the next week or two after I get back of just something like that and see what it turns out like.
You gotta hollow that? How you gotta print it?
Yeah. I'm gonna hollow it. Yep. Yeah.
Gonna hollow it. Put some drain holes in it to make sure that you don't get too much suction, and you can also get rid of the resin in the middle. Yeah.
So that's why I thought it might be a good test just to give it a go. I might. What I might do is to
drain them properly, and then just having resin leaking out the bottom.
If I do that and send you the file, could you open it up in yours and tell me if it looks okay, or you wouldn't be able to tell?
Yeah, I should be able to. Yeah.
Mm.
It'll
Okay,
be
well, like it's not urgent. I'll do it the next.
it'll be a
week or
biggish
two.
file, but we should be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just printing off. I've got like 38 warriors printed out
Nice.
now, and like I'm just going to print the whole army. I've got like 3 gyrocopters printed. There's just some of them. I'm probably going to do one of each of the big units. More warriors. Obviously, I've already done some iron drakes. I've got to do some artillery.
Nice.
I'll probably do 6 gyros. No, I'll probably do 4 gyros because I've already got 2 gyros, like Games Workshop gyros, and that way I can do 6 if I really wanted to do that. But I feel like and I've already ordered back to basics, like movement trays. I'm going to spray them all black, so the whole thing will be zenitholed and on magnetized, and then I can just like go through it. Like it's not my main army, but when I go, I'm a bit bored today, I'll just smash out 5 dwarf warriors or something because they're so quick to paint. That's what I want to try with it anyway. See what happens anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, but for Castle, I think I need more skeletons. So I pulled apart. I think I've nearly got through all the skeletons that are in this initial launch box. So they're so annoying to put together. So that's what I was sitting on the ground last night, putting some together. But yeah, so yeah, just constructing at the moment. Nothing painted, but not really painting or doing anything. But yeah. That's been
Is this
my hobby for the week.
40 skeletons you got to get together?
Oh, no, I need 25 more archers. I can rebase.
Okay, yeah.
I've got 20 there that I could rebase from 20 mils, but I want to keep to keep at least a 6th edition Tomb King army together, at least mostly. So that way I've got an army to play in that if I ever wanted to. So I'd rather just, to be honest, how long it took me to rebase those 20, I reckon I could paint 20 new ones. You know? So I might as well just do that. It's putting them together that's a pain in the ass, but yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that was what I was doing apart from being sick. So
nice.
And I will get to the beastmen at some point, Andrew, but yeah, the dwarves are just so easy. You know what's funny, and Josh, you might be able to confirm this with the printer or not, but depending on what you're putting together, like, you know, when you get the plastic kits out from Games Workshop and cut them all up and then you're like, you know, you clean everything and you glue it all together and stuff.
Yeah, which is a shitload of work.
Depending on the print you got, it's like prints, pulls, the supports come off. Like it takes longer to print, but you're not doing the printing.
No,
it's just
you're done. You got a model.
It's just like
nothing to green
easier.
stuff. Nothing to clip. Nothing to shave down.
Yeah,
you got a model. That's great.
I know, especially some of those dwarf ones. Like there's some that are like obviously with like separate arms and stuff, but like those Iron Wardens or whatever the equivalent they are, they're all one piece. So they just and they pull. You know, the Highland supports are awesome. They just pull straight off. It's like
it's
done.
Yeah.
It's almost quicker to 3D print in a way. You know, in terms of prep.
Well, yeah, because the prep time, your time is what's the limiting factor for sure.
Yeah,
you're spending 15 minutes for each model to clip it, glue it all together, shave off any molding lines and that type of thing.
Hold it while you glue it, whatever you do.
Fill up any gaps.
Yeah.
It adds up. It really adds up.
It's actually, I didn't sort of.
It's one of those unexpected benefits. You don't realize, but it's It's a really nice thing. I mean, with the supports, you still got to clean the support where it comes off a little bit. Sometimes, I usually use
exactly. It depends what it is. I found with the dwarves, still a little bit not really. They're just tiny. Like I just don't think you'd see them. Maybe on the main ones you might, but I haven't noticed anything too bad. Some of the other, like those Beastmen one I did, yes, there was some that you would have had to clean up. But anyway, cool. Well, let's get on to the main.
Yes.
Agenda. Josh has done a tournament as well.
Guys, I've got some insights. I've got some experience now.
I understand.
This is what I don't like. It was a good tournament. It was about in Lynbrook, about half hour from where I live. It was about 24 people in the end that came. Including one of the slow growers, one of the 6-head slow growers ended up coming. He actually won best sport, by the way.
Awesome! And did he bring that army, or do you have other armies?
Oh, that was his army. Yeah, he brought that army. I think he had adapters. I think he just brought his chaos. Hordes of Chaos Slanesh mortals, basically.
Oh yeah,
that's 6-head speak for Chaos Warrior. Yeah, so similar because he came to Uprising in the 6-Ed tournament a few months ago, and he sort of had the same army then too. So yeah, and also who else did I meet there? So one of the Patreons I met. So
cool.
that Klein, I think he's on Patreon under there. So one of the early
Oh,
ones,
that's
right?
sweet.
So he had his high elf army going, and then there was another fellow Ben who was speaking to me, who hadn't really played much sort of communal war. Like, this is the funny thing. He was like, listening to the podcast, I didn't realize there was a community of Warhammer players. Like, just that there was a community. I thought everyone just stopped playing when they were teenagers and then didn't go back to it. And it was only when I was listening to your podcast that I was like, oh, there's people out there that play this. And actually, like, it reignited his interest in the hobby, and he went back and
Our
actually
podcast did, or just podcasts in general.
Well, he was saying to me, I don't know, he probably listened to other stuff.
He probably listened to others as well,
but the way he said to me, he was just enjoying listening to our story and how we were going through. And so then he was just playing in the tournament. It was so that's, I guess that's one of the nice things that, that I think one of our goals, I guess, is to create that community feeling.
It is as part of that. Yeah, just
reignite the fire.
Well,
exactly.
Like, that's why you keep turning up every week, you keep hobbying, you keep doing it. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll go through my games. So my first game.
Sorry, it's a 1 day, wasn't it? 2K.
Yeah, it was 1 day. 2,000 points. 3 games. 2.5 hour rounds. So
out of the book missions, or a bit different, or you'll just cover that in your game?
Well, no, it was all just battle line.
Oh, right, okay. Yep.
There was no scenarios because I think it was seen as an introductory tournament where people were still just getting used to the old one. I think there was quite a few people. I think most people have played more than one game, but a lot of people only played a few games here or there.
So I think it was just battle line, the entire
battle line, no other objectives,
whatever they call it.
Open battle.
Open battle,
not pitch battle, not battle line.
No.
Open battle.
Open battle.
So 12 inches from the edge, 10 inches from the edge, because we were playing on the 60 by 44 mats. Although they had the mat sitting on the 6x4 board as well.
Oh, okay. So you technically could have.
So, that was a funny thing. So they literally announced at the start. They were like, we've got the mats. We're sitting on boards. You guys can actually decide at the start of each game whether you just want to use the mats or whether you want to use the boards. Going forward. So I used the board for the first game, and then I ended up using the mats for the second 2 games. I don't know. It was funny that because there was no other side tables and stuff, and
it'd be weird to have your figures half off.
It confused us constantly because when we were deploying in the first game that I played, and I put it on the mat, and then I just forget that the board is the battlefield, you know what I mean? So you'd forget that, and it just sort of screw your head a little bit. So I ended up going happy just to play on the map for the next 2 games. It also just gave us a bit more space just to put stuff around the edge, I guess.
Gotcha. You need it totally.
And I found that the 2,000 point armies, because they are so many points being put in characters, and they are quite small. In the end, even though the bases are bigger, it didn't seem to make a huge difference. I don't think it didn't feel as cramped as I was expecting on the 60.
Okay, I've never played on a smaller one like that.
Just because I think there's the armies in terms of number of models, it feels almost smaller than 6Ed in a way. There's a lot more rules and stuff going on. A lot more complexity in terms of just what stuff has and all the different other special rules and stuff. But they're not big armies.
No.
Sort of in terms of how it feels on the table, in terms of how much space there is, maneuvering, which is really interesting. But my first matchup, I think that's all the other setup I need to do. Nothing else I need to talk about in terms of the actual tournament. Is there? No, I think I covered it.
Unless you want to talk through your list, but you already sorted it, did you?
I will talk through my lists.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Actually, I should pull it up before I do this. My first matchup was the mirror matchup, though.
Ooh.
It was a Brett army.
Brett.
So I'll go through my list first, then I'll go through his list, and it'll be almost like spot the difference to some extent.
Spot the meta.
Because just to refresh my
Pegasus.
list, I think I talked about it for a while. Yeah, Pegasus. I think we had. He had one more. Did he have one more Pegasus than me? No, we both had 7 Pegasi, each our game, each our list. So we had the same number of Pegasuses. So yeah, just to go through mine had a Duke, a Royal Peg with a Gromwell Great Helm to give a 2-up and a 1-up rerollable sort of armor save, or rerolling the ones, and the Virtual Knightly Temper to give him extra D3 attacks and a hatred on the charge. And then I had a Prophetess level 4 with a Falcon Horn at Elementalism. The Falcon Horn, by the way, indispensable.
Yeah,
I don't think
God,
I'll play any more of this game without this horn.
Is Falcon Horn just your opponent's flying?
Yes.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
yes.
I thought it was
I thought it
all
was just
flying.
Just
Oh,
enemy
maybe.
units.
Oh, okay. I was watching someone the other day.
That's
and
horrible.
They were playing against a Brett army, so that's probably why. I went,
That is
it's both.
horrible.
Is it really?
Oh,
Yeah.
God's sake.
Just enemy
I need to
units.
look at it. I haven't been up
Yeah.
against it yet.
Yeah, the only limiting factor is if you're in combat, you can't blow it.
Yeah, okay.
That's
cool.
the only counterplay you have to it, and otherwise it's just a leadership check.
Or
and then
kill
it's
that
just,
person, yeah.
Yeah.
How
'Cause
easy is it
It's
to get
completely
leadership
'cause
rerolls?
you're right. Like if it stopped all flying, it would be actually really punishing for a Bretonian player to take it because they're so reliant on their Pegasuses.
I thought that's what people
it's-
did, like with Cav list. Like you have a Cav list, then you have the horn. I didn't realize it was. No,
It was just enemy models.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. So it could just destroy a whole lot of units that in terms of their utility.
Did he have it as well? So you just both not.
Yes,
right.
he also had it.
Right. Sorry, I don't want to. You can tell us the game. Sorry. Trying to just
He
guess
also
what's
had it.
happening.
Oh, yeah, of course he did. That was the funny thing about it, So there was one. Yeah, I'll go through my list. Yeah, so then I had a prophetess with the level 4 Falcon Horn. She was at Elementalism, and I took the Green Knight. Who I'll go through a little. I mean, I'll probably go through reflections about this list after I've gone through it, and I think you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of what I liked and what I didn't from this list. In core, I had 2 units of 8 mounted Knights of the Realm, just with full command, and 2 units of Peasant Bowmen, 1 of 12 and 1 of 11. Special, I had 2 units of 2 units of 3 Pegasus Knights with Champion and Standard Bearer, 5 Scouting Squires, and then in rare, I had 5 Ground Knights, again, full command. I really would have liked more chaff in this list, but I just couldn't squeeze it in. But yeah, I was playing James Denise. I think he's one of the assists. He was like an assistant TO, I think, of the local group that plays there. So he also had a Duke on Royal Peg. He had the virtue of heroism though, so the killing blow, monstrous killing blow, Monster Slayer and killing blow type thing.
I'll just do both. Is it that one?
Yeah, the virtue of hazard does killing blow and Monster Slayer in one.
Yeah, cool.
So he had that. I think he had Dawnstone and Bedazzling Helm, so I think it was -1 to hit, and he had a lance. But the Duke has a ground vow, so it gives him magical attacks anyway, so it's not too severely limiting if you just got a mundane weapon on these guys. He also had a Prophetess level 4 on Elementalism. He didn't have the Falcon Horn on her, though. He actually had it. So he also has a Ground Knight unit, a unit of 8 Ground Knights, and he actually put the Falcon Horn on the champion in the Ground Knight unit, which is interesting because it
gets in combat.
It's so that's a forward it gets there because it is one. The Ground Knight has units leadership of 9, so it's a little bit higher than the Prophetess in terms of testing to blow it.
Yeah.
But once it's in combat, you can't blow it anymore. So yeah, it's forward against. I think you could do. I think either way could be justified. Although I probably prefer to have it on the Prophetess really because it's so much easier to keep it out of combat. And then he had a Paladin with a BSB. That was in the Ground Knight unit, and I had a Heartwood Lance. Then he had 18 men at arms with full command, and a Grail Monk, but he hadn't given it the stubborn triptych thing, the 25-point item that the Grail Monk can take to give the whole unit stubborn. Just because it gets punked out so easily. Once you go in combat, you can just kill the Grail Monk, and 25 points is gone basically. So it's not that efficient to try to give them the full summon. And they've got shield wall anyway, which means they could fall back anyway reliably. Then he had 2 units of 6 mounted Knights of the Realm, and the 16 Peasant Bowmen. And then 2 units of 3 Pegasus Knights with full command in those units. So there's a couple of small differences. He only had 1 unit Peasant Bowman, and he had about arms. I had 2 units of Bowman. He had a slightly bigger Ground Knight unit with a BSB unit, and I had the Green Knight and a slightly smaller. But otherwise, the lists are pretty much identical.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
And were you deploying in like lance formation and stuff for everything? Or how'd you?
Everything but the Peg Knights.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah. Yeah, well, there are only 3 of them, but yeah.
I mean, you
see
could.
a lot of people do them in lance formation still when they got 6 in there and stuff.
Oh, the
Massive
Pegasus
footprint,
Knights?
but yeah.
I mean, it will give them +1 combat res because you get the lance formation bonus. As long as you're unit strength 5 or more, I guess.
Yeah, so maybe it doesn't matter with the 3.
Yeah, but although I mean, they'll still get it because they'll be unit strength 2 each. So yeah, or 3.
Yeah, 6.
I'm not sure.
Oh,
actually.
are they? There might be more.
They're only 2 wounds each, but they're monstrous cabs. So
so they're 3. Yeah, maybe 9.
I don't think I couldn't ever really count it as putting them in lance formation to start with because the 360 line of sight from being skirmisher is just so good.
Oh, but I think they could do that. I thought that was. I see people
What if they're
do
in lance
skirmishing lance formations. At least that's what they've been doing in Warhol. I haven't played against Brett, so I don't know. But yeah,
I feel like you're either in skirmish or you're in lance formation.
Right. I
Like
don't
you
know.
choose
That's
the
what some
formation,
dude
right?
was doing today. I was like, wow, that's annoying to move. But anyway, unless maybe they've got to manually do it so it looks like it's skirmish, but it's not. I don't know. Anyway, keep going. You don't know either, so I might be totally wrong there.
So I would just go through deploy a bit of that type of thing. So basically, I had each bowman out on each flank, and each unit of Peg Knights out on my flank, and I had the 2 units of the Knights of the Realm fairly centrally. I had the Ground Knights slightly to my left, off center, and then I had the Duke on the far right, next to one of the units of Peg Knights. He was opposite his big bus of Ground Knights with a BSB unit. His Duke was on my opposite flank, across from, on my far left, I suppose. He deployed that Duke next to his big unit of archers. Then he had a smaller unit of one of the Knights of the Realm next to them. Then he had the men at arms centrally, and a big block of impassable terrain there. And then then on that far to my right, he had the Ground Knights, as I said, across from my Duke, and the mounted, the Knights of the Realm, and then he also had his Pegasi on that side. Where did he have the second unit of Pegasus? Actually, I'm trying to remember. Where did they go? Oh, yeah, I think he had them over next to his Duke as well. So he also had 1 unit Peg on each flank, essentially. So we had fairly similar deployment, I guess. Like it was just Knights and Pegs on the flanks and that type of thing. It was an interesting game. It's a lot sort of happened in maybe the second turn. Because how did it happen? And we rolled off because we both Bretonian, which means we can't pray. And then I won the roll off, and I wanted him to go first. But rules is written. I won the roll off, so I go first.
Yeah. It's annoying.
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
But it worked out in my favor because my first turn, I get to blow the horn. He hasn't blown his horn, so I get 1 turn where I can fly and position stuff before the horns pretty much keep blaring for the rest of the game. No one flies anymore. I must admit, the horns they do limit Bretonians to some extent, but because all our flyers are still movement 8 skirmishes, it's not as punishing, I don't think, as some of the other units that really need flying to really maximize their maneuverability. So I might pop up. I did take a photo. Like, unfortunately, this photo I took was probably 2/3. This is sort of middle of turn 2, I would say. But yeah, it was pretty far along in terms of how much time we played in the game. So basically, what happened was, what did I have to my grails? I can't quite see them there. I think he actually gave. How do I go through this? Yeah, so I'll go with the Ground Knights first because he actually moved his big unit of Buster Ground Knights up, and actually I got the opportunity to charge him with my Duke and the Pegasuses, so the Pegasus Knights on that flank, which I sort of did it opportunistically. I'm not sure if that was actually a good idea. That combat actually turned into a really big grindy combat. Where I actually lost the Pegasus Knights, and the Duke, I think, was down to 2 wounds. They ended up being able to kill off the entire unit and the BSB as well by the end of the game. We got to the end of turn 3, by the way, in this game.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so not a huge,
fair
far way into it, but we got a lot of combat through.
Yeah.
Next to the Ground Knights, where the mounted Knights of the Realm were on his side, I actually put the my little unit of scouting squires in front of them as just as a bit of chaff. So he charged into them on his turn, and then he actually I put the elemental spell that gives him a ward save and low linear obstacle thing. And he charged into them. I think he killed.
It's called.
Yeah, the Earth and Ramparts. That's it. He killed maybe 2 or 3 of them. And I think I had one or 2 left survive to actually flee. And then he overruns and kills them. But I actually didn't realize that in this game, when you overrun something, you stop when you hit the unit that you're running down. When you catch the cur, you halt.
When you catch them,
Because I was sort of getting a bit anxious that might have positioned my Knights of the Realm that were behind the squires a little bit too close, because they were about 13 or 14 inches away, and I think he'd actually rolled sort of close to that. I can't quite remember, but then he stopped when he killed the squires anyway, which left that unit open just for a nice counter charge with my Knights of the Realm to hit them. So in that photo, you can see there's a pair of Knights of the Realm facing towards his table edge, and that's them sort of fleeing at the end of that combat when I countercharged. More centrally, my other unit of 8 Knights of the Realm charged his men at arms. Now I actually won that combat, forced them to fall back in good order, and because he had that other unit of Knights of the Realm sort of further across, I chose not to follow up. Because I was worried that if I did follow up far enough that he might actually be able to flank charge me. So I actually sort of restrained and reformed and actually just pivoted on the spot. Unfortunately, you can see that my prophetess is between my two lances and Knights of the Realm, right?
Oh, yeah.
The following turn, he actually declared a charge with the men at arms because he'd fallen back from that spot like about 6 inches into the prophetess's side, and I was measuring it and I was like, oh, that's probably 10 or 11 inches. Like, he's a massive wheel to get to alive in the prophetess and that type of thing. I was like, I'm not really sure this thing can do this charge even if he rolls a 6. So I didn't flee from the charge, and then he proceeds to do like a 4-inch wheel, and then 5.5 more. He rolled the 6 on the charge, which is enough.
Yeah.
And then he does a 4-inch wheel, and then he's in line, and then he does a 5.5 inches, and he hits her. And I'm like, fuck! Why did I just flee? I should have just made sure that it wasn't going to happen. So he actually connects with her. The men at arms kill him, and then they actually go into the side of that other bus
and blunt it
and blunt it. That combat then just becomes a nothing combat really, where nothing really happens. I didn't break. I think I gave ground the next turn, then the following turn, and that was sort of it.
Right.
It's interesting that if things die, you go below half strength. It doesn't really matter at the end of the game. Unless you really killed off a unit, or you're below, even if you're below 25%, it's only a quarter of the points value of the thing, which is really
it's insane, isn't it? You got to really kill stuff.
On the
Death Stars,
on his other flank where his Duke is, I actually had my Great Green Knight pop up in like, I think it was the first turn. I was like, yes, good. All right. So I popped him on the hill right in front of the Duke.
The hell. Oh yeah.
His Duke, can I push this forward? Oh yeah, okay. Where is it? Oh no. His Duke actually charged the Green Knight because he has the heroism and he's got magical attacks. He rolls a 6, killing blow. I failed my ward save. He killing blows the Green Knight straight up.
Oh no.
I was like, that's a shame. Start of my next turn, I roll a 4, and he comes back on the table, and I put him on the other side of the board. So yeah, that's literally the role I have for him is just to chaff up really nasty characters, and then hopefully come back to life. That's literally what I was using him for. So yeah, he chaffed him up a little bit. Then the Duke, I think the following turn, all he could do really that was of value was actually charge those archers behind him. So he just went ahead and charged the archers and killed them, and I didn't really care about that because the archers really worth 40 points. The Ground Knights on my side, actually, what did they do? There was a bit of a standoff on that side between my Pegasus Knights, his Mounted Knights of the Realm, and my Ground Knights. He moved his Knights of the Realm and his Peg Knights up together, and I think he moved it a bit close. I think he was expecting me. I'm not sure. I think he was expecting me to charge the Knights of the Realm. I think, but to be honest, whichever target I charged with the Ground Knights, I think was going to struggle. So I ended up charging the Peg Knights. I felt like I had a better chance of taking off attacks with my Ground Knight attacks. Just because they've got fewer wounds per base, I suppose. The Ground Knights basically just went through the Pegasus Knights, even though they countercharged as well, quite nicely. My Peg Knights, I think they ended up taking off that big unit of Peasant Bowman that was next to the Duke as well. And then what have we got otherwise? So yeah, this photo is after, so it's a couple of turns later. So you can see the Ground Knights in the backfield. They've gone through. My Knights of the Realm have pivot on the spot, and that pivot was enough for him to actually reverse back. He didn't actually want to charge. I think he was worried I was going to be able to counter charge. Although I think would have been close in terms of whether it could counter charge or not. As you can see on my far left, that my Duke has really whittled down his big unit of Ground Knights. So ultimately, at the end of the game, I hadn't actually lost a huge amount of units. So one of these Peg Knights, I didn't lose one unit. The other unit got reduced to one guy left. The Green Knight was back on the field. I lost the Prophetess, which is irritating, just because I should have played with her really in retrospect. I mean, what are the chances you got a 6 and then there's a reasonable chance you got a 6 really because you're rolling 2 dice, but maybe I should have just taken more time to think about, because I think I over measured how much he had to wheel. Whereas of course once you have to do a couple of inches, even if it's quite a wide unit, to be in line.
And
then you don't have to be centrally facing it. That's right. You can just go. So I think I overestimated how far he had to spend on wheeling to be able to get it. Whereas I was managed to get the points for his whole Ground Knight unit, his other Pegasuses, and a few other things. I ended up winning, I think, 15-5. I think there was a margin of about 6 or 700 points or so. So things sort of worked for me pretty well in that game. In the end, there was a couple of definitely some mistakes and some learning experience that I had to do, and definitely some rules that I was struggling a little bit with. He had played a few games, but I think we were pretty slow to get to the bottom of turn 3 after about 2.5 hours. But next game,
would that have taken much difference? Like if you'd played, say, 5 rounds, was there anything there he could counter back, or do you reckon he would just slowly? Because those Grails look like they're about to go. His ones, is that right?
Yeah, well, I managed to wipe them down to a man. So the BSB actually, my Duke actually killed his BSB in the final turn. So this is just before the end of the game, I would say. So that his mage was still in that combat though, so I might have been able to kill her. But his peg knights there had gone into the side of my duke as well. So I think the duke might have gone down possibly, but then I have the green knight just sitting there behind them, so he would have charged in as well. So it's hard to know. It's hard to know how things might have played out. I also depends how far away those peg knights are from the men at arms as well, because I might have been able to reinforce that other unit and charge the men at arms in the rear or something too.
In the rear, yeah. Oh, cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Wow. Game 1, win.
Yeah, game 1, win. Yeah,
Win. Yep.
Pretty shocked with that. So my second game was against Ogre Kingdoms.
Uh,
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. I've no idea about these guys.
Yeah. So I won't go through that too much, but yeah, I might save that photo for a little bit later. So this is against Ben Kennedy. So he had a tyrant on a Stonehorn with a Tenderizer, Talisman of Protection, and Death Cheater. That guy's worth like almost 500 points, just like that character. But he had a Slaughter Master who's also worth like 400 points. With Butcher's Cauldron, level 4, Ogre Blade, Law Familiar, and Illusion. Which I hadn't really thought about, but it gave him the ability to take Spectral Doppelganger, basically. And I think that was the idea behind that whole build.
2d6 with Ogre Blade. Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys saw that much more early than I did. So then
that's the thing with ogres, they can fight, hey?
They can fight. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So in core he had 6 Ogre Bulls, 6 Iron Guts, and 10 Noblars. And then he had in special he had 3 Lead Metals and an Iron Blaster, and in rare he had 2 separate Gorges. They were just running around being frenzied and that type of thing. So in this game, what happened? So there is. So I deployed. It was fairly similar deployment, really. All my lances were fairly central. In terms of the terrain, by the way, I'm not really talking about the terrain because, we played the Honest Wargamer system.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. Now I'm seeing it because you got the Impassables there. You've got the 2 hills. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We know your view of that now.
It's a strong review. It's a strong review. The word I'd use for it is insipid because you had to deploy around it, and that's about it. It really didn't affect the game that much. It was nice to have a hill, so you deploy the hill and get a bit of extra rank shooting and that kind of thing. And sometimes you have to go around the forest sometimes.
So they were chatting
but the
this week in their
field
latest.
Is so empty. It's so empty.
The latest podcast that they're going to add more like, just the other stuff they haven't got, like in terms of walls and stuff. But they're always going to do this symmetrical stuff, I bet. And I bet you they'll stay out of the middle just because that's in the rulebook as well. But it is a bit weird.
I'm not on board with the symmetrical stuff. I'm really quite happy with whatever you want to throw on the board. And as I said in previous tournaments, I usually don't even look at the board. I just sit down on the table edge. And if I roll a roll off, I'm not moving. I'll just play on that table side and just see what happens.
But I mean that's part of the that's the thing. Like TOs,
I love just adapting to whatever terrain is on the board.
Plus you make it more narrative. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. This should be up to the TO's discretion a little bit. I mean, I get why he's doing it in terms of a highly competitive environment, but I just don't. It didn't feel like
what's weird.
We're not playing esports, like
we're not playing AOS 40k. It feels like and again, I don't. It's going to come across bad here, but I don't want Warhammer Fantasy has been playing big tournaments for decades, like for years. ETC, 7th edition, 8th edition, and they weren't symmetrical then, were they?
Nah, surely not.
No,
so
definitely
at some point, symmetricals popped in with 40k, whatever, and now it's leaking back to old world, and it's like, but why? We never cared about it anyway.
It's never been a part of fantasy ever.
Sorry,
the balancing factor was
scrapped.
Was who won the roll off gets to decide what side of the table they're on. That's always been the thing. And then you just make do with whatever side you're given. better or worse.
Yeah, well, maybe that. Maybe, hopefully. I mean, I've been using it, like I said, with Andrew playing just because I don't have to worry about it. But I think, yeah, the more we do it, you go, I want more stuff on there. You know, I probably went too far initially. I was putting too much terrain on. But, you know, it is better to have a nicer looking.
Yeah, that's right. The
more
first game you guys
interesting-
played was a crap load of terrain all
Yeah,
over the board,
yeah.
wasn't there?
Yeah, yeah. there
Yeah,
was,
it's so subtle, isn't it? The difference between too much terrain at a nice level, and then not enough. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a fine line sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, you can just you can definitely overdo it and really not have a very fun game. We just
Plus, I
struggle
think
to
there was
maneuver.
this. I think it's leaking back from 8th, where everyone went, "Oh, you know, don't put like hills in their deployment zone because their cannons will just sit there and shoot things off." But like, it's. I mean, yes, there's some gun lines out there, but there also isn't. It's probably not even that big a deal anyway.
No.
Yeah, they're not.
So-
Yeah, they're not as big a deal as they
Like
used
they're
to
going to
be.
shoot. What are they going to shoot? Your monster? They can shoot you anyway, whether or not they're on a hill or not. Because most
Yeah.
people run at a dragon, so it doesn't really matter if there's a hill in the deployment zone, except for like bows, who get
Yeah.
an extra
Yeah.
rank, which is good. They probably need it anyway.
They really need it. Like, honestly, like Bowman didn't do a huge amount for me.
Anyway,
Like,
sorry,
I got to
yes.
roll some extra dice this weekend just because I had Bowman in the army. But
Yeah.
in terms of their output, I'm not sure what they did.
It's kind of one of those things I found like with Bretonians at the moment. It's like everyone's got to like have this little, you know, men at arms or bowman just because. Like I don't know. It's just
Yeah, I mean, it gives you an army a sense of being an army, I guess. You know,
yeah.
you sort of need something else on there because if you don't have any blocks, it really doesn't feel like Warhammer almost. But maybe better arms would be nicer to have. I don't know. I'm going to think about that. I guess the thing that the archers do give is sometimes it just gives a bit of a distracting target for something else to go off and try to kill it.
Yeah,
Which,
yeah.
not the worst thing if they're only worth 40,
Yeah.
like 50 or 60 points.
Little chaff killers or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Or sometimes he'd be like a character. Like, the Duke in this game, his Duke went off and decided to kill the archers rather than charge he was considering doing a frontal charge of the Mountain Knights of the Realm, the unit of 8 Lance that I've got there. That he decided, it's too risky, I'll just charge the archers. Which I was glad about because I felt like that Duke charging them, maybe it'll be okay. Because if worst case, maybe I'll just fall back in good order anyway. Yeah, because you don't really break in this game. Whatever. Oh dear. Sorry, where was I?
Yes,
Sorry,
that was the terrain rant we were on, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You're playing
big fat
ogres.
rat. Yeah,
Little
I'm playing
sidetrack.
ogres.
Sidetrack.
Playing
Yeah.
ogres. Yeah. I mean, when you roll off for the terrain, I almost felt like, just pick one. I don't really care. I'm not going to eliminate one. Like, there's just A, B, C. They're all the same. I was almost in this game.
Oh, they were doing that full thing where you veto one, were they? That thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they were doing
right.
the fill
Okay,
thing
I've
where they
never
had
done
they
that,
printed
but
off
yeah.
the 3 pages, and then
Yeah.
the loser or the winner, whatever, vetoes
Yeah.
one, and then you pick one.
And then
I
you
can't
choose the
remember
other one.
if I won or not. I think I might have won. I think I could choose one, and then the trade was already set up for the last game, and I think I saw that one of the choices was the same as the trade that was already out, and I was like, I'll pick that one. It's the same terrain. I don't have to move the
you
terrain.
conflate it. Right. Okay. Interesting.
Although, unfortunately, the guy that I was playing on the same table. I didn't realize till like we started deploying, and then he said he was playing on the same table again. So I was like, sorry about that, because then he's playing on exactly the same terrain again as well without changing.
Yeah.
I could have changed it for him, which made it more interesting for him a little bit. But this one had, I think this is one where they had the 2 hills more centrally. And then I had the passable building thing on my far left, and I had the woods on my far right, and then opposites for him. So he put his big stone horn next to his wood, and then most of the rest of his army was either on the central hill or near the impassable on the other flank. So he had his what are they called again? Which ones are they? The ogre bulls, yeah, quite centrally, and then you have the lead belchers behind them up on the hill. And then between the hill and the impassable, he had the slaughtermaster in with the iron guts, and then the what's it called again? The iron blaster squeezed in between that unit and the impassable, and then a gorgon on that far flank, and the little Doblars. They sort of scouted in front of the lead belcher out there. And then you have the other gorgon on the other far side next to the Stonehorn tyrant guy. next to the sort of the wood. I deployed, fairly similarly to what I did last time. Although I put the archers, one archer got stuck on the hill in the center, the other one got put in the forest on my far right. And then I had the pegs on my one unit of pegs on my far right, the other one on my far left again. I had the three lances. Sort of essentially, I had one of the Knights of the Realm between my impassable and the hill to my left slightly, and the other two lances sort of squeezed between the hill and the forests. I had my Duke sort of next to the Ground Knights right in the center. My Prophetess was sitting there as well. I think that's all the units I had. Yeah, it is a small army. So basically, this game came down to a few clutch things, really. So he plonked his Noblars, as I said, right out on the flank, scouting, sort of halfway on the board, in front of the, in front of the impassable. In front of the iron guts with the Slaughtermaster and the cannon.
Oh, that's right. And the lead belch on the hill. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the lead belches were in the central of the hill. They didn't do much this game. They shot at my little squires, that I scouted in front of that like because he had those scouts and I had my little scouts. I keep forgetting to say. So I put them centrally. So they shot at the scouts. I think they did one wound or failed to do any wounds. I think the next turn they shot at my archers on the hill, and again maybe failed to hit again. Like they've only got 3 shots, and it seemed bizarre how ineffectual they were actually. But where was I? So it was the Noblars that set up the game in a way. So I charged them with my Peg Knights right out on that flank. Killed 8 out of 10, and they had 2 left that fell back in good order. And then I followed up. Again, I'm still thinking 6 heads.
So how do they fall back? Yeah. Can they fall back or can they not?
Oh no, actually, maybe they fled. But he only fled like 4 or 5 inches. Yeah, he didn't fall back in good order. Sorry, because I was pursuing and I actually removed the unit. But they fled like 4 inches. So I was thinking I'd be able to roll like a 13 and hopefully get sort of next to the impassable terrain out of line of sight of the cannon and the iron guts and the Slaughtermaster for a potential countercharge, like because otherwise I'd still be in line of sight. But then again, I forgot that they just stop once they've caught the guys, so they just stop, and then suddenly they're just sitting there. And to give it, I got to explain this a little bit more about the angles because they were sitting in front of the impassable terrain, sort of about 6 inches from that. And then a little bit more centrally is the cannon, and then the iron guts with the Slaughtermaster between the impassable and the hill that's right in the middle of the board.
Right.
Because in that first turn, I'd also moved up my lances and that kind of thing. They were all about sort of 16, 15 inches away from the ogres, figuring that they're probably not going to back off. They sort of, they want to get in combat. But they will have to put up with some charges to be able to be able to get there. They're going to they're going to have to let me charge them. But he does what I think is sort of reasonable to. I don't know if this is the right call on his part, but he charged with his cannon. What's it called again? The Iron Blaster.
Iron Blaster,
and the Iron Guts and the Slaughtermaster. He charged them. He charged them with the pegs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll flee, which definitely took him by surprise. Like he was not expecting me to flee with him because they're just fleeing off the board. They're only like 8 inches from the edge of the map. So they're straight off the board. But the angle that he does with them, they're all wheeling. They did a charge, and he rolls pretty high, so they're all wheeling about 5 or 6 inches, and they're wheeling in such a manner that it just opens up a nice flank. So I will put up this photo now. Right. So this photo has the Duke and the Ground Knights hitting the flank of it's hitting the what's it called? The Slaughtermaster. And then I've also got the unit of Knights of the Realm hitting the front of those iron guts as well. So he got a triple charge, 2 units in the flank as well. So it was just being able to draw them out of position in the end. Because
so this is an interesting thing changed too, which I got wrong in my first game, which I don't know, you guys probably saw the YouTube comment with my Necrosphinx, where a failed charge, you do move your full charge roll. Whereas I remember when I was saying with my Necrosphinx, I kept bumping back, wasn't getting past my Tomb Guard, was trying to fly. I was trying to charge over, and he was fleeing with his chariot. And then we were both just assuming it was a failed charge, but it's not. And so you end up, so this type of trick, what you've just done is a lot easier to do in a way, because you can really drag them out. Because even if you flee with 2 units, like they redirect, they have to go their full charge roll. So you can really pull people out.
But it's not the charge move though, is it? It's just the roll that you move.
I don't know which way it is, but yeah. But if you've elected Swift Stride before, then they're not though, so it doesn't make a difference.
They're not Swift Stride anyway. So I was looking at the book, and it's not your movement value; it's purely the charge roll.
Is the Swift Stride charge roll or not? Or not? Maybe it's not.
I don't know.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. If it was, they could really pull people out of line.
Surely,
I think it might be. I played that it was.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. Although it's bizarre that with Swift Stride, it's always like you may add a d6, that kind of thing. So, have people like fleeing with Swift Stride units, so they're only rolling 2d6 rather than 3d6, because the rule is you may add it or something. So you have the option not to add it. Which I just don't know
when you have the option.
But yeah, I feel like if you have if you have a failed charge and I don't know, I feel like you should have to add that in. I don't know. But I don't know what the rules are as written. We've only played 4 games, guys.
Yeah.
So Ashley got a bit lucky with that combat in the end, because the Slaughtermaster, as I preface, he does have special doppelganger with the Ogre Blade, which I didn't really think about at the time. I was just like, this is opportunistic. I'm just going to throw them all in. And he challenges with the Slaughtermaster, so that my Duke accepts it, obviously. Fortunately, I got 5 wounds through, and he failed all his regens, so the Slaughtermaster just dies.
Ah, wow, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Didn't get a chance to hit me with his spell. I mean, I had the damsel within 24, so I would have had a reasonable chance of dispelling it anyway, I suppose. But he could have easily killed one-shotted me with the spectral doppelganger, which I only realized after the game had finished. I actually had no idea that. I didn't think about that as a combo until afterwards.
Was that a 5-up regen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So really,
I think it was a 5-up. Yeah. Because it was a challenge as well. He challenged me. So it's not like the ground arts could have gone in and finished him off or anything.
Just for combat rules,
in case I'd only done 4 wounds. I think I might have still had the Royal Peg attacks to go though, so I might have had them to go through. Maybe I can't quite remember if I did or not anymore. But yeah, I was lucky that I did kill him in 1 round of combat without him getting a chance to try to take that off. Because it also means when he pulled, the ground ice pushed up forward, and then they minced the Iron Guts. And between the ground ice and the Knights of the Realm, I think he had the champion left, who still managed to kill like 2 or 3 Knights of the Realm with his like 7 or 8 attacks. I was like, what the hell? This champion's got a shitload of attacks. I think you had that, or maybe there was 2 guys. I can't quite remember, but I was surprised at how many dice he was rolling for guys that he had left. No, it must be just be the champ, because I killed a whole bunch of the units, so it only would be the champ that, even if
they have 4 attacks, is it? I think is it 3 base plus?
Is it the iron? These are the Iron Guts.
Yeah, the Iron Guts.
Yeah.
Unless
he might have 2 left if it was 7.
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember. Anyway, that's. Yeah. Hey, I didn't really care at the moment.
Moving on that, I just because I highlighted this in the rule book around that flee thing when someone told me on YouTube. When if the charging unit does not make contact with the fleeing, it moves forward its full charge range, not its full charge roll. So it's the full range that you would do. So like if your movement 8 plus you've rolled, a 5 on your dice, then you'll roll 13 inches. You'll go 13.
Oh, but I saw that I read. Isn't there a diagram that literally says, there it is, the failing charge. Yeah, in the diagram, so it's on page 121. It says Unit A is declared Unit B. Unit A is
121.
Yeah, 121.
Sorry,
It
let
says
me go back.
the movement characteristic is 4 inches and a charge roll of 1 and 5 has been made for a total charge of 9 inches. Alas, Unit B is 10 inches away, and so the charge has failed. Unit A must now move 5 inches, the highest result of the two dice
That's
roll.
if you fail a charge, but if they flee, it's not classed as a failed charge. It's
Oh,
the charge
yeah,
target away.
Sorry, flee.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if the charging unit does not make, it's so funny. I'd highlighted that in my rule book, and I still got it wrong in that game. I was like, wow, because that's you can really
How
pull
could it not be
units
classed
out.
as failed charge? It's because they're
Wait, so it literally says it's not a failed charge. The charge.
How is it not a
target
failed
ran away.
charge? What? How is it? How is it not a failed? You haven't got the enemy.
But that is a really different.
That's a big
different,
deal.
hey?
Yeah.
Like, that's massively
You're
different,
moving.
which I haven't
Yeah,
run
you're
into because I don't run away, like because I'm an undead player. I haven't really run into these things.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure I will the more I play.
Wait, so where is that in the rule? So where is that? Is so that I can.
Oh, it's in like the
section of the
terrain
rules, is
section.
it?
No, just kidding.
In the terrain section.
No, I'm just joking. But this rule book is page 129. It's the on the left column, just above the diagram.
This game is so complex. What a fucking headache.
It's so good though to do this stuff because the only reason I realised that is because we put the YouTube like last week's one when someone's commented on me on my Necrosphinx comment. I was like, oh, thank you. And then I looked it up and went, oh, I even highlighted it. I didn't read it. So I'd read that before, but totally forgot.
Happens.
Yeah. Oh wow! So if it doesn't make contact with the fleet, it loses full movement, loses full charge range.
Imagine playing like Wood Elves who always running away. Like,
why
be like in the middle of the board all the time?
Complicate this. Like, isn't it simple enough to go? You've led away. It's a failed charge. It's a failed. Okay. All right.
Anyway,
don't. Good point.
I thought you guys played that anyway because they did move away. He must have rolled a 5 anyway. He moved. This is perfect though for what you would have done anyway because you would have done that. They just would be further out and you'd smash him anyway. So,
might have got a recharge.
Yeah, that's right.
Honest.
Yeah.
So that didn't affect the.
No, but I thought you did that, and I didn't.
No, you just happened to roll pretty high on the dice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good. Good strategy I got to think of. Not with my undead, but yeah.
So where was I? Yeah, so he obviously fled, and I overran. The iron thingo, what's it called? The cannon again?
Iron Blaster.
I keep having this
Iron
weird
Blaster.
mental block around the name of that bloody cannon. The Iron Blaster failed its panic check. It's probably the only panic fail. I don't know. There was other panic fails today, but he failed his panic check. Fled in front of the piece of impassable terrain. The next turn he rallies, which means he can move and shoot again.
Yeah.
Right. It actually didn't matter that he failed his panic check at all.
So what did he do? Sorry.
So forgiving. The Iron Blaster failed the panic check, right? Because he's right next to the unit that broke.
Yeah.
Then he flees like 8 inches. He had to go around the impassable piece of terrain.
Yeah.
But then the next turn, his turn, he rallies. The start of his turn.
Oh, but then he could drive and shoot and stuff.
He could reposition again. He could move
pretty
around
ridiculous.
and then just shoot again. It's like it didn't matter that he failed the panic check at all.
It's like gyrocopters, man. Like, yeah.
It was.
You'd still,
It's like, why even bother with panic? It doesn't matter. It meant he couldn't charge. That was the only thing. But like it was.
That's right.
I felt a little bit disappointed by how forgiving that was.
Well, that's like when you flee. If you flee with gyrocopters and then you just turn around and shoot, it's like, but it's classed as you moved. I'm like, well, I'm quick to fire anyway, so who cares? It's ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah. Some of these rules are a bit bizarre. Centrally, I had my other unit of Mountain Knights of the Realm hit his the bulls, which I think I ended up causing them to fall back in good order, just through wounds and that kind of thing. And I think they popped through the other side of the lead belches, and then I chased, but I was like 1 inch short of that unit, and then on the far side, his Stonehorn
That's the big
So this
unpainted
is-
mess over on that side.
Yeah,
is
the
it?
big unpainted mess over there. Yeah. So, hold on, where are we? Okay.
Is your
okay.
Green Knight over there, or is it just all pegs?
Sorry, I'm
That's
just trying to remember
pegs.
where we are. There's a Green Ice over there as well.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
this is like turn. Yeah, this is my turn 2, I think, or my turn 3. No, it must be turn 2. I'm just trying to think of the Green Knights because he popped up the first turn and put him in that forest where he's in that photo.
Yep.
The Iron Horn Stonehorn fellow charged him, killed him in one round of combat because he has a magic item. I don't think I failed to do a wound against him, unfortunately, because I think he has a tenderizer or something, but it's only initiative 4, so I still got to strike first, but I didn't get a wound off. One shots him, and he overruns just shy of the pegs that I had out on the flank. I hadn't thought about the position of them very well, so I actually left them a bit exposed to that. That was a mistake I got away with, fortunately, because I could move the pegs away from him.
Yeah.
But the reason the Green Knight's still on the table there is because this is my following turn when I've rolled that
And you've come
4,
back up.
and he's come back. I put him back in the same spot that he was.
Surprise.
So what do you have to roll for him to come back, like initially? Because it keeps getting
3
worse,
up.
doesn't it? A 3 up, okay, and then
3
everyone's
up.
4 or 5, and he loses a
3 up,
wound.
and that's from turn 1 as well. It's not from turn 2, so it's turn
Right.
1. I start rolling, and it's a 3 up each turn. If I get to turn 5 and I haven't rolled a 3 up, he comes automatically. But turn 5 is pretty bloody pointless because he can't do anything. In the first turn he pops up, it's in any piece of terrain, open terrain, natural open terrain. Sorry, so hills and forests and ruins basically. But he can't move. He can pop up within. At least he needs to be at least 1 inch away from enemy units, so he can pop up really close to stuff. But he can't actually do anything the turn he appears, and then the next turn he can charge and stuff.
So if he comes up in turn 5, he's not doing anything. It's only turn 6.
No, it's actually
Especially
pointless
in
to
Tor.
have a rule saying he comes up automatically in turn 5, because if he hasn't come up automatically by turn, if he hasn't come up by turn 5, he ain't doing anything. It's a waste of time.
So what's the penalty where he dies? Or what happens?
So when he dies, it goes to a 4 up, and he has 1 less wound. He starts with 4 wounds. Then the second time you have to roll a 4 up, and he has 3 wounds. If he dies again, you have to roll a 5 up, and he only has 2 wounds. That's a penalty. And if his opponent gets victory points for him if he's not on the table at the end of the game. So as long as he's on the table, no matter how many times he's died, you don't get victory points for him.
Can you keep rolling?
Yeah, every turn.
Or it's only a one-off? Oh, so every turn. So if he's died, you just keep
rolling. Yeah. So what I did was I moved the Pegasuses away. I wonder if we've got a photo of that. Oh yeah, so the Pegasus have moved. He's actually shifted the Stonehorn around, and he's charged. Did he do that in 1 turn? He must have done it in a second turn. Yeah, so he took 1 turn then to reform the thing because it's close order. And then in his 4th turn, he's charged by Green Knight. 1-shotted him again. We played the full 6 turns, by the way. So I had two more opportunities to roll a 5 up, and unfortunately I did not, much to my sadness. But he really did his job of completely. That Stonehorn didn't otherwise contribute to the battle apart from killing the Green Knight twice.
Yeah, that's true. Because what'd you say? He's like 600 points or 500 and something points or something. And he
was almost 500 points, and he was 275. So I feel like that was a fair trade because I had no other counter for that thing, and I didn't really want him to be involved in the combat. So the game ended up, because I had killed these other units pretty conclusively. It was well and truly in my favor. I think I ended up killing the Iron Blaster because I reformed everything around, and I think I had the Duke go in with the Ground Knights and actually kill the Iron Blaster as well. So I killed most of his army. Pretty much everything but the Stonehorn was dead by the end of the game.
Okay.
And he killed the Green Knight, and I can't remember if he killed anything else. But the Peg Knights and the Green Knight, pretty much, were the main victory points that he got. So it ends up being 15-5 to me. It's bizarre because the victory points are relatively low. Like it's so hard to peel off victory points unless you kill off everything. Even though I felt like I was well ahead in that game, it's still only been 15-5 in the end for me. And yeah, we played the full 6 turns and we finished about half an hour early. Like I had a good
okay, wow,
20-30 minutes before the round ended, so one around, which was much nicer because I felt really under pressure after the first round. Actually, when I was like, because we were actually a little bit behind. I think we actually needed an extra 10 minutes into lunchtime to finish up and get all our victory points counted and stuff. And that's when Matt came over to me and said, "Oh, hi, I'm one of your patrons." And I'm like, "Oh, hi, Matt. I'm trying to work out how to add up victory points right now. I don't really have time." So yeah, I had to go back to him afterwards, like later on in the day, and have a proper talk to him because it's funny how sometimes the time
it's hard to chat in a game.
I'm a bit under pressure. Trying to get everything sorted so I can submit the victory points to get it all, so and then I could quickly have my lunch before the next round. So it was nice to be able to crack through a gap. Like it felt like it didn't feel like we were rushing. It just felt like a good pace, and we ended up finishing relatively early.
Nice.
Cool.
Ooh.
Last game. What a photo have I got up there?
Elfie goodness.
Yep. Some Elfie goodness. So my last game, let's move these photos too, was against Jordan Newstead. Now, because I've won the first 2 games, I think I was looking at the pairings. I think I was sitting on the second table for this game. Because I think it was the top table, because you can see the pairings on BCP, because this tournament's being run off BCP.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
It was bizarre, actually, the rankings on this, because we were told to put in the victory points into BCP rather than the battle points. But I don't think BCP was processing it in the way they thought, because they were all like, "Oh, the BCP will take care of it. Just put in your opponent's victory points into their battle points and your victory points into your battle points." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's what everyone did because that's what we were told." But looking at the placings afterwards, it looks like to me BCP is just ranked everyone by whatever number they put in, rather than the difference between those two numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you actually just got more points for the more stuff you killed, rather than it being a difference. Which I think if you run the numbers, I think to be honest, I think it does affect some of the placings. Because the other thing BCP does is it doesn't necessarily just rank you on total victory points. The rankings go by win-loss draw first. So if you've won 3 games, you're at the top. If you've won 2.5 games, but you've got more points, you're actually not ranked above that.
Yeah.
So it's a different ranking. So I mean, nothing wrong with it. It's just a different way of doing it to what we're classically used to in Warhammer Fantasy, where it's all about how many battle points you get, and it doesn't matter how many wins you have. But that's how they chose to run it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. And we got a reasonable result, I think, in the end. So so this is against Jordan Newstead, who's quite so I think this guy was quite experienced. Like, he was talking to me before the game. I think he said he played like 30 games of the old world. I'm like, oh, okay, you've played quite a few games. This was a fun game. High elves. So he had an Archmage, level 4 on foot. Seed of Rebirth, Potion of Speed, Talisman of Protection, Law Familiar, Warden of Safari, and Illusion. Then he had I think he was going for Special Doppelganger as well. The combo, I can't remember what the combo was anymore.
Was that mounted or on foot?
He was on foot.
Foot, yeah.
He was sitting in a big unit of Phoenix Guard, a 15 Phoenix Guard, so he would just keep casting Miasmic Mirage on them for the nice one to hit. And he had a Prince get on foot with full plate armor and a shield, Dragon Helm, Seed of Rebirth, Reaver Bow, Ruby Ring, and Lawmaster. And then for core, he had 12 Illyrian Reavers with Scouts, Skirmishers, Lawmaster's Cloak, Banner of Illyrian, and short bows. So had this huge block of scouting Illyrian Reavers. I know.
A lot. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by these Reavers.
I didn't even know they could take scouting. When you plonk them on the board at the end of deployment, I was like, oh, interesting.
I swear they've only got a
yes.
6-up save too, so they just die like flies.
Yeah,
Pretty
they're
sure.
pretty squishy. They're pretty squishy.
Yeah, because I don't
Um,
think they got a shield.
Do they have shield? No, not on this list. I can see.
Nah,
Yeah.
I think
So
it's just light armor.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
Mm.
Just light
just light
armor.
armor. Just light armor. So yeah, super squishy.
Mm.
I will expand on their role in his army in a minute because they're actually one of his favorite units. So then he had 10 Lothern Sea Guard, in which the prince sat with a
Nice.
razor standard, which I think is a reasonably good combo. Then he had
Yeah.
5 Dragon Princes, and with I think I had the Dragon Prince carriage. The champion had a 2-up 1-use ward save. I can't remember if that's Charm Shield
nice.
or one of them, but comes in handy in this game.
Yeah,
And then he had 15 Phoenix Guard, as I said before, and he had two Lion Chariots and a Flame Spire Phoenix. Now my Falcon Horn was pretty much useless in the Ogre game because he had no flying, but the Falcon Horn certainly completely neutered the Flame Spire Phoenix's ability to do anything in this game.
Is that movement 2? What is it? It's not very fast then.
It's not very fast, but its main thing is flying over units and causing flaming damage.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true. Yeah. Oh, that's
which you
pretty
can't
true.
do. Which you can't do.
Yeah.
It really just didn't get any opportunity apart from the very first turn, but that was too early for him to do anything because we were too far away from each other. So he's got 1 turn to fly, and then after that, I didn't fail a test for every time I blew the horn. So where are we? So deployment again, similar. Got the archers each flank. I put one of the archers on the hill, the other archer near the impassable terrain. The pigs on each flank, and then the Duke on my far right. The Duke was opposite his Lothern Sea Guard with the Prince in it, and had the Flame Spire Phoenix just behind there. He had the Phoenix Guard right of his central deployment area, and flanked by each Lion Chariot, so I had one on each side of them. So I pretty much had the Ground Knights and the unit of Mountain Knights of the Realm directly opposite that sort of central block. I deployed the scouts sort of off center, to my right of that block as well, sort of between the woods and impassable. And he scouted his Illyrian Reavers on my far right in front of one of my Pegasus Knight units. Yeah, so I'm just going to need to blow my nose. Hold on, guy.
You're right.
Sorry. So the Illyrian Reavers. So I'll go through that because that was a interesting moment of the game. He's had a lot of success with this unit. So what he does is he plogs them right up, 12 inches away on a flank, and then he moves them right up to whatever unit is on the flank and sort of baits them to charge him, relying on quick to fire so that he's got, because he takes the 12 shots after he's deployed, and then he stands and shoots with them. And then he takes the charge, and he's got cab spears as well. So he's fighting in 2 ranks when he takes the charge. And he actually found that because they're high initiative as well, and they do so much output on the stand and shoot, that a lot of units
combat
struggle to take the unit down, and then they end up breaking through the flank, and then they're in the backfield. And so his first 2 games, they've been devastating for him, against his opponent, because they just break whatever flanking, on the flank there is, and then they just go destroy the backfield of the opponent. Didn't work that well against Peg Knights. I don't think he hadn't played Bretonians before, so this is interesting. He played a lot of games, but he happened to not have actually played Bretonians. So my Peg Knight's charge, I think he managed to do maybe 1 wound on the stand and shoot. He was hoping for 2 to at least knock off some attacks, but he only got the 1 through. And then I proceeded to kill I can't quite remember, but quite a few Illyrian Reavers, maybe 5 or something, 4 or 5, maybe even more. I can't remember. He didn't have many attacks left, and then I think he actually ended up rolling. He lost combat, rolled quite low on the break test, and I think he just gave ground. You can see in the photo, he moved the Dragon Princes right up pretty close to behind the Reavers as well on his first turn. But because he gave ground rather than falling back in order, he didn't actually pop through the other side of them. So they were sitting there. So in my turn, when I charged them, I also had repositioned my Knights of the Realm to sort of face that unit of Dragon Princes. Especially because now, like, they're actually, the way it's all worked out, looks like the Dragon Princes are sort of stuck there. Like, they can't really wheel out
like charge around,
or charge around or anything like that. So they feel quite. I felt like they were quite vulnerable in that spot. Essentially, I moved my other 2 blocks up towards the Phoenix Guards, and I moved my scouts up to sort of try and bait the chariots a little bit to see if he wants to try to charge them. I wonder if I've got a photo of the other flank, actually. I should have. Oh, yeah, I do. I'll just move it forward. Yeah, so the other, the Peg Knights, I think they took some hits from the Ruby Ring because it's 2d6. That thing is really puts out some damage. So I ended up losing 2 of my Peg Knights from a Ruby Ring, and I think he had the Reaver Bow as well. Just some general shooting. I moved my Duke up sort of midway along the board, facing that unit of Lothan Sea Guard with the Prince in it. The Flame Spire hadn't come out very far because I think he was worried the Duke would charge it or the Peg Knights would charge it, if he did try to move it out. So he just sort of sat in his deployment zone and hadn't actually moved it out at all. And then I will go through. So I'll leave that stuff for a minute and actually go back to the other side where the Dragon Princes are, because what happened next blew my mind, and I was not. I wouldn't say I was unhappy, but it broke my immersion a little bit because this kind of maneuver was like, what the fuck? Where the Dragon Princes being drilled have reformed into a conga line so they could triple march straight past everything. They couldn't wheel out of that position. I was like, they're stuck. But they've just conga lined straight past my blocks of knights, through the forest. And now they're just facing behind my ground knights, just in the center of my backline. Like, I was like, holy shit. And being drilled means that next turn they'll be able to reform back into a unit and then just rear charge me. 27 inches this was. I was like,
it's a bit dumb.
This does not feel like Warhammer right now. This feels a bit like AOS. Because it was one of those maneuvers where, like conga lining was something, back in 8th Ed where you would conga line in front across an army to block everything, and it'd just be people would complain about that. This is conga lining a different way of just outmaneuvering and completely changing, where the units are in a way that didn't feel like Warhammer to me. Like I was.
So, which way did he go? Through the forest, and then he got a free pivot. Was that how he ended up there?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's because don't they follow the front guy? Don't you wheel off the front guy's edge or something?
And like you can cut through the back guy.
Don't they all just follow in a line?
You know how you can cross
snake
people?
I think, don't you follow in a snake when you're in a single column or not?
Yeah.
Or do you think this was a dicey sort of maneuver? Because I'll go back. This is so.
I guess the thing if you go,
because the reform's free, so it would have been closer when he actually did his reform.
Yeah. I mean, he had the distance. It was only like 24 inches away. It wasn't 20. It wasn't more than 27 inches away.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay, right. That's. I mean, they are in a conga line. I guess they can, pretty much act like fast cav. I guess. but as a legitimate tactic, if that is a legitimate tactic, which I'm not
I think, like,
disputing at all.
the dodgy
but
part is
if that's
like,
part
you
of the
turn
game,
their-
I'm not on board with the game if that's part of the game. If you know what I mean? Like, it's,
he's back, but his guys are then like going through your guys. Hey, like, just how you can, how they made a mention that you can do that. Like, because that would swing around. The back would swing around with that wheel.
Oh, like if they were wheeling. Oh well, because I thought that would be like a snake, where it would be like just like different curviness. But if they're in their position as a solid line that you can't move it, can they wheel through that unit then?
Well, that's the bit that I'm wondering. There was definitely, like Andrew, there's definitely some rule, hey, where you can wheel through an enemy unit, but it can't be. Is it a certain edge it can't be? I can't remember what it was. I thought we talked about it once.
Yeah, it's definitely not the front
about this.
Yeah, there's no snaking as far as I'm aware.
No.
So you just got to do your full, like you're saying, you are measuring that wheel off the front. So, but there is also a rule, or it was FAQ, that the furthest person can't move twice their movement distance. Not that it matters, because if they've got a triple, I think it means something like they can move 3 times that, like 3 times double, like 6 times. Or something, I can't remember. It was I did see a few comments about something around that, but
some rules lawyery kind of stuff.
But obviously, it would make a difference with stuff like Cav, where they're quite long, and so when they wheel, those back dudes are flying around the place.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not like I really want to stress, I don't feel salty about this. Like, I actually really enjoyed this game. I actually enjoyed this game, and my opponent. Actually, this is the game I enjoyed most. Like, he was really fun to play with.
This is the
and
stuff
actually
you want to
gave
learn
him my
to go,
best sport
this is
mode.
part of it.
because-
So how do I even?
I really
stop
enjoyed
this?
it. Like, it was a great game, and anyway, so I did actually have a bit of a counter to this, because what I did was, and I loved it. He was not expecting me to do this. I plonked my prophetess in front of the conga line, because I'm like, I don't want him to charge my knights, so I'm gonna. I love just using crazy units as redirectors in situations like this. So he was like, "What? You're putting your prophetess there?" And I was like, "No, my guy, mate, I've got a plan. So then Bretonnian list has a one of the signature spells, which fortunately I'd taken in this game, called Burning Gaze, which is, if I get it off, it's a magic missile, 5d6 in a line.
Straight down
every
the line. It's like
every unit in that line takes a strength 4 hit with no armor save. No armor save. So it was actually the perfect counter to him doing this. So unfortunately, I did fail one of the 2 wound rolls. So he had one guy left. Who was the champion? Who had the 2-up 1 use ward save. So he actually, the following turn, he charged the prophetess with the champion, fluffed his attacks. I happened to have an assailant spell, the flaming sword, which is just d6 plus 1 strength, 3 hits with no AP. I think I rolled a 6, and then I got a couple of wounds through, and he failed one, but then he had the 2-up ward save, so he saves it on the 2-up ward. And then I think that combat lasts for 2 more rounds of fluffing, and then he finally kills her. It was really quite a fun combat in the end. I was so close to actually just taking that unit off just with the prophetess by herself. But yes, unfortunately,
the Green Knight couldn't get in and save her.
The Green Knight still wasn't on the board.
Oh,
this is like turn 3.
Oh,
he was on the board because I leave him like just randomly around just to remind myself to roll him. I failed on the first turn, second turn, third turn. It wasn't until the 4th turn that I rolled a 3-up. So this is the problem with the Green Knight, unfortunately. As much as he did really well for me the first 2 games because I rolled him, early on. Him coming on the 4th turn meant he actually had a really limited impact on this game, and that did hurt me quite a bit, unfortunately. So I might just rewind a little bit of these because I got a bit distracted with that drill crap going on. So if I go back to this slide, so at the top, I'll just go through what happens centrally. So his 2 line units on each side of the the Phoenix Guard, actually charged my scouts, flee with the scouts. Then he redirects onto the single Pegasus Knight. And he's like, you realize if you flee with that single Peg Knight, he won't be able to rally because there's only one guy left. And I'm like, which I have to clarify actually, but
I think it's double ones.
Double one.
Yeah, it'd be double ones. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. He's like, you'd be really rolling
Yeah.
double ones because there's only one of the original three. I thought it was below 25%, but
Oh,
only one guy.
I thought it was under 24.
Yeah, because I think there's something where it's 50%, it's minus one leadership, and then if it's whatever it was, something like that. Yeah, anyway, keep going. Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll
I
have a
didn't
look while you're
I
doing
didn't
that.
bother to query it. I just played it like that, and I thought it sounded right. So I was like, "No, I'm gonna flee anyway." So yeah, he was like, "All right." I kept doing things that he wasn't expecting, and he was like, "Man, you keep fucking." I think he said he enjoyed this game, or like as like it was. I think I surprised him with because I said at the start of the game I was like, "Well, I've only played one game of the old world before, and I play a lot of other tournament in Warhammer and stuff." But
Yeah,
you know, he's like, "Well, that's fine. Like I play a lot of games, so it'll be fine," kind of thing. But I think from what I said, I think he wasn't expecting me to like just be doing crazy fleas out of nowhere and maneuvering stuff in a way that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. It's below 25% is double one.
It is below 25.
Below
Okay,
half.
so
It's
I could have
below
just
as well.
rallied.
It's not equal to. Yeah.
So I could have just rallied.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, so they double fled. So the lion chariots are both nicely out of position, which meant I could charge with both my lances into the lion chances. They both fled, which I guess makes sense. Leaving my lance sort of like, unfortunately, they left them out of position a little bit, unfortunately, and they end up
sounds
because
like
of
you
how
guys
far
might
they
have
go.
played that rule wrong too, because I reckon those chariot dudes would have had to move further if you fled on those charges. They're not failed charges; they would be full.
Yeah, that
movement.
rule is so confusing.
And
so
then
you're right.
you
Yeah,
would have been way closer, which means even if you fled, you might have still caught them. If
You're
we're
right,
getting
actually.
that right, if I'm reading that right, so listeners,
You are
tell
writing
us,
it. Yeah, you found the page, and that's pretty clear. It's not a foul charge, which is really so counterintuitive. And that's a very intricate rule, but yeah, I guess now that you pull it up, that's right. But because basically what happens is that they both fled, and then I think it's bizarre how little psychology affects this game in a way. I mean, high elves, I guess, are being high elves. So he failed the rally check on one of these. What was it, both? I can't remember if he failed them both, but because it's a re-rollable rally check for the high elves or something, they both end up rallying anyway.
Veteran or
because
something.
they were testing on a 10.
Yeah,
and then,
rally
maybe
cry might be one of them. Or I don't know.
Oh yeah, maybe rally cry. I can't remember.
Anyway,
so they end up both rallying, and unfortunately, because I was sort of in once I'd found that charge and moved right up, I was actually in charge range of his Phoenix Guard, which is bad news. So they actually charged my Ground Knights, and I think I had one Ground Knight left at the end of that combat.
Wow!
And it just fled. So it's like, yeah, that hurts.
Yeah.
What else happened? So have I got a photo of the other flank? I don't have any other photos. Oh crap! I don't have another photo of the my left flank because my Duke actually goes into the Northern Sea Guard with the Prince. The Prince challenges him out, and I didn't actually look at the Prince's equipment, but he had a 2-up save. I think he was re-rolling ones as well, which meant that my Duke, even though he's got 6 or 7 attacks with hatred and strength 7 AP 2, he failed to get a wound through on the Prince. Yeah. And I think he might have even taken. I think he took a wound on the standard shoot on the way in, and then he ended up losing combat. And he actually, I think, he fled. I think he might have just straight up fled from combat. I outran him. I think he might have hit that's right. He hit the squires that were just ended up just being there because they fled from the chariot, so they ended up on that side. He hit his Lothar Seeger hit the squires, and then because it was then his turn, he killed the squires, pretty much outright. Then he contacts my my Duke, and knocks him out of the game just because he was in a fleeing state at the time of contact as such. Have I got any photos of that?
Did he overrun from the combat with the squires?
Yeah. He overran from the combat. Although I'll show you another photo. So where is it? So I'll get it up. Can I get this up? Hold on. I might have to change the stream a little bit. So if I pull this down, I might do a share screen because I found
another picture. Yeah.
Because I had a query about this one too, actually. There we go. So my query was, for me, it looked like that impassable piece of terrain was maybe in the way, but then the rule would be that they would go around the impassable piece of terrain, wouldn't it?
Is this fleeing or is this a charge? What's this? Sorry?
This is his
That's an
overrun.
overrun.
So he's killed all the squires, and I've got my duke there fleeing in a flee state. So if he hits it, he dies, right? In Six said, like, if they hit the impassable terrain, they will probably just stop. You know, I don't think they would just overrun. They would just overrun in a straight line and then stop when they hit terrain.
Shoot move is
Yeah, because to me, if you're doing a pursuit, because that's an overrun.
But if you're doing flee talks about pivot, and remember it's pivoting as well. Like that's I don't know if that's running.
Flee
if you
and
run
pursuit.
into that,
Not sure about an overrun.
When you flee, you have to go around impassable, and it's pivoting. It's not wheeling or anything. It's actually like just pivot around the center and then move around it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I don't know about pursuit. I can't recall.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't make too much of a big deal about the time. I felt like it was pretty much justified because my duke just bounced off that unit and didn't really avail himself very nicely, so he pretty much deserved to die.
So he did move his guy and then hit your guy type thing.
Yeah. He collected the duke, took the duke off. Yeah. Which is pretty brutal, but yeah, that's how it goes. So where are we? So the ground knights. So the ground knights have gone back to the center. Ground knights got charged by the Phoenix Guard. And this is sort of near the end of the game.
A unit that overrun makes a normal pursuit move, but must move directly forwards without pivoting. Was that an overrun?
I would have thought that would have been an overrun because didn't he kill them all?
If you killed them all, it's an overrun. Yeah, so you don't pivot; you just go straight ahead.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'd
what I would
imagine
have thought.
you just hit the impassable.
Yeah, that's sort of what I thought. Yeah, anyway, I didn't really want to make a big deal of it.
Yeah, it says that a pursuing unit must stop moving if it makes contact with a friendly unit or with impassable terrain. Page 157.
Yeah, okay, right. Thanks, Gobbo. Right, so maybe the Duke would have survived. If he rallies, because that's the thing. Like I'm thinking of like in my head, I'm like, oh, if he rallies, it doesn't really matter because you probably get charged next turn. But if he rallies, he just fly away because it's the old one. It doesn't matter if he's rallying.
Yeah, he's not stuck there. Yeah.
He's not stuck there. He would just fuck off. This is sort of where the game ended, where I sort of what happened here. So I had the opportunity maybe to do a triple charge with a Green Knight and both units of mounted Knights of the Realm into the fairly healthy Phoenix Guard. Unfortunately, he managed to cast the Miasmic Mirage spell on one of the units of Knights of the Realm, so he couldn't charge. And when I went down to 2 units, I was like, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to. I couldn't see myself doing enough damage without risking it to make it worthwhile. This is on like the last turn, pretty much. So I said I used the Green Knight to charge a chariot, which fled. My charge roll was like 1 inch short of the chariot, so I didn't kill it. I only got half points for that. And the other chariot was left on like 1 or 2 wounds because my other Peg Knights was like trying to kill it and didn't quite nail it in the end after 2 rounds of combat and falling back into all that type of thing. So it was that was sort of where the game ended. I did end up so I lost that one in the end. It worked out on point 713, and I think I got like 450 points and he got 1100 or so. Because if I managed, I think it would have been a much closer in victory points if I had killed both those chariots and I'd managed to take off that last Dragon Prince, because that Dragon Prince unit is worth 250 points, and because one guy was still alive, I got maybe 25% of the unit or something. It's so bizarre how punishing it is if you don't take units off in this game. That probably would have brought it to like close to a draw or 11-9
Yeah.
in the end. But it was a really good game. But actually, I enjoyed it. It was actually in a really good atmosphere, and actually, as I said, probably my favorite game of the day.
Yeah, and like it's good to have these games that have like different stuff comes up and different things that can come up. Just because obviously, I've certainly haven't run into units that are that drilled. Do you know what I mean? And actually see action and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Not that maneuverable now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was. Yeah, like it's interesting when you talk about 27-inch like marches. People are usually talking about it from the aspect of turn 1 doing that and like going towards the enemy like with that, not starting halfway across the board, and then on turn 2, not starting halfway, moving across the board in turn 1 and then turn 2 doing it.
Especially when you don't see it, like because it's
drilled
not into
a column and then and then doing 27 inches into the center of the back line and then facing towards the rear of everything. It's beyond.
So I did find the only thing which just because now with that, like the picture that you had, I just, and maybe it just was the picture. It looked like when that front guy would wheel back round, it's probably only like an inch and a bit, for a cav base, an inch and a half to like do a 90-degree wheel or whatever. It looked to me like the back guys would fall through your unit.
This one?
It would clip your unit. And there is a thing right at the beginning of the rules which just talks about like a corner. And this is where I think there might be something there for MQ, but I'll have to have a look.
I think we
just says
alternatively
the corner of a unit may have no choice but to move through another
Andrew,
unit.
do you want to move your...
Yeah. Is that blowing around?
Sorry. I could hear that.
Yeah. For example, a fleet unit may be obliged to move through another unit. Alternatively, the corner of a unit may have no choice but to move through another unit during a maneuver. In such case, it's acceptable for one unit to pass through another, and the rules will make allowance for this. But it doesn't, what does that mean? Does that mean, 3 of my... a corner's a corner. I wouldn't imagine an entire base of a figure can move through another unit. Hey, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. If they are just a solid line, I don't see how they could fit through that gap, I guess.
Yeah.
Because conceptually,
I'd have to go
snake.
Is that what you guys were talking about in the game, that they were snaking?
Yeah.
Okay. There's no. I don't think there's snaking. I can't. There's no. That's not a concept. I don't think.
Yeah.
Nah, not at all.
Yeah. In which case, I don't see how they could wheel through that unit if they're just a solid line.
Not that's the thing. Having said that, there's probably a way through still, but he wouldn't have been as well positioned.
Nah, maybe off in the flank. So like in a 2 or like straight in your flank. So he might have been out of position, but not in your rear, not like that.
Yeah, he might be just facing your other realm unit, like and half in the forest. Yeah, but it's still a great move.
I see what you mean. Yeah. So like not quite facing my rear. It's like still in the line, still in that position, but in a different orientation. So you're not
like above, like Gomo's saying above that forest or something. Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah.
It's a really good, especially because, like you said, it's very tricky. Usually you see people start in marching column, and you go, I know what they're doing, they're moving up, and then they'll drill charge, where when you see a unit of 4 in a normal heavy cav thing, and then you don't really realise they're going to go boom. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's hectic. So that game ended 7-13 in his favour in the end. And in terms of the podium, he actually won the whole bloody tournament. Jordan off the back of that game. So he came first, and Nick Beattie came second. Jordan Newstead and Nick Beattie, and then Chris Penwarden came third. Because he and George actually played out a draw in their top table in the 3rd round. So that was interesting. So as I said, like I do wonder what would have happened in terms of the placements, because looking at the victory points that Chris had, he had like 2,200 points in the first 2 rounds, like way more than most other players got. So I think he might have got 20s for those. But he only played out a draw in the 3rd one, and because the placing in BCP is you only get a half point if you draw. Versus if you won all 3, even if they're closer games, even the closer games, if you won all 3, the BCP placed them above. So
Goes
it'll
off
be
the
interesting to see if he was
goals.
purely
Doesn't
battle
care
points,
about
but
anything else.
that's sort of how it was. So yeah, Chris Ben Warden came third. And then Travis Kennedy got best sports. And then there was a little bit of a painting vote, by the way, guys.
Ooh.
So it wasn't best. There wasn't a best army, but they had a little vote on best model. So you just pick a model, and just throw it up on the just for display so people can vote.
Yeah.
During lunchtime.
Right.
And I grabbed my little Ground Knight Sand and Bearer. I was like, I guess I'll put him up because I wasn't expecting to do anything with painting because my army wasn't fully painted. But then I don't think there were any fully painted armies there the day anyway. So it was just best model. And Travis put his dragon up because he was that cast at Uprising as well. I think it was him and me that sort of came highest in terms of votes then. And then there were a couple of other guys that were regulars there that also put us there was quite a few nice looking models actually they could put up. But at the end they actually got 4 of us that were all really closely voted for in terms of votes. And then they were like, so they included Travis as well with his dragon, which was really nice. But my Ground Knight actually won the thing by 1 vote. So I got best painted.
You got best painted.
Well, best painted model.
Best
painted model. Best painted model, and then I ended up coming 7th out of the 24. So
Nice.
pretty not a bad outing considering it's my third, fourth,
2 wins straight
second,
up.
third,
That's
and fourth games of the old world that I've ever
going better
played.
than me.
That's good.
That's good.
So with the list. So I guess, do we have time to really go into Castle Assault, or have I ended up taking up so much time?
I don't know. It's up to
I
you
have
guys,
actually.
man.
It's almost 2 hours. Oh, I don't know again. But the list,
Well,
I think I will.
Rather than maybe we'll dig into it more in another episode, but I can just quickly just so listeners know what we're talking about because maybe it is relevant. Is that cool? I'll just totally just go through those.
Do you want me to just go through my thoughts on the list and what I might change first?
Yeah, do that. Yeah.
Because I am considering dropping the Green Knight.
Okay. Yeah.
He did so well for me, but the third game where he didn't come on till the 4th, that hurt me so much. Like I feel like I would have had a better chance of winning that game if he'd come on the first, second turn and actually could influence, because he would have popped up next to those chariots. He would have actually been a huge problem for him to deal with.
Yeah.
And it would have changed.
That's probably the ambushes, isn't it, in general?
Yeah.
But
he did so well. Like his ability to pop up again after being killed, and then essentially this really nasty character gets no victory points for him. He just pops up again with no penalty. Great, I loved it. I can see the eyes there. They sort of die in their eyes as they see these pop back on the board.
Josh is just
so yeah. The thing that I'm really trying to sort of weigh up is, do I lose too much by having him in? Because if I don't have him in, then I might be able to squeeze in some more chaff. Because it would be nice to have more chaff control on the board in terms of 1 or 2 more squire units and maybe some mounted yeomen going around. I could also maybe even fit in a BSB paladin on a peg with maybe the war banner, so I can get like a sky with a whole lot of static combat res, going around and doing extra charges on threatening things, because he'd only be like 150 points or something like that. And then the other thing I'm thinking about is, like, do I change the size of the amount of the knights? Do I go down to blocks of 6 rather than 8? Do I try to fit in an extra block of knights? And do I change the archers over to mounted men at arms and that type of thing? So I'm actually thinking about how do I actually overhaul this list quite substantially. It's more just from learning about the list more from playing these games about what.
Would you bump the pegs up? Because I see a lot of 2x4s running around.
No, I wouldn't bump them up too much. I like the 3. A, because I modeled the bases for 3. I'm not going to get a 4th. I can't be bothered to make a 4th. B, because for me, I don't see them as a heavy hitting unit. I mean, they can put out a lot of damage, but their maneuverability for me, they win me games because they can not just get in the way of things. They can sometimes redirect or bait charges because people are so afraid of them. And it's almost like how I use them in 6th Ed, where I'll just flee with them. pull things out of position and then countercharge. And that works
Yeah.
really well. And if they're unit of 4, that's not helping them do that role anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm happy just to leave them at unit of 3, really. And,
Yeah,
and to
they
be
get
honest,
too
having them units of
expensive.
4 means there's just too many peggers on the board, and it becomes less about it's just a flying Air Force then, and the theme starts to just, I don't want to go too far down that tunnel. I'm happy to have a second unit of pegs, and maybe some characters on pegs, but I don't want to have the entire army just pegs. I don't want to have 3 units of 4 pegs on that type of thing. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I did like the ground knights. I was interested to see that on Warhol, like on the S-Bot tournaments and stuff. There's not really any ground knights anymore. They all seem to have disappeared. I think they punch really hard, and they seem to most of the time they got into combat without being whittled down and got a chance to charge and stuff. So I felt they were worthwhile keeping. So I definitely will persist with them.
Oh, cool.
I was weighing up whether or not to go errantry war, because I was like, do I change over the Knights of the Realm to errants and just have like 3 or 4 units of errants with the ground knights and that type of thing? But I was really reading up the rules, and it looks like everything gets impetuous, even the Man of the Omen. Even the Men of the Yeoman get impetuous.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Which is just
hard
makes
to-
the list unusable.
Yeah.
I really can't. If my Duke's impetuous, the Ground Knights are impetuous.
your chaff.
Just going in,
my
ain't you?
chaff is
You've got to be
impetuous.
charging.
The list can't function.
Always be charging.
So
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. So I think I have to stick with them. Because it was just that there was no other list that was like non-normal Bretonnia. I think there were 2 or 3 other Bretonnia lists there that were all just normal Bretonnians. None of us had taken arcade journal lists. So I was interested in taking errant lists, but I just don't think I can with those rules. And I don't have enough miniatures to try to exile list. I don't have a bombard ready or anything like that. So I've got to take central list.
On the S-Bot, there's a he might even be 3rd in the whole tournament. He's running errantry, and he's undefeated. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have a look at that list. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's check that one out to see if they're doing it.
Get some inspiration.
Yeah, I just can't see if even the Peg Knights become impetuous. Like everything's impetuous. Like you have no control. How can he be? How can he be undefeated?
Send it in. Just send it in.
Incredible.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
just like we'll wrap the show up in a tick. Maybe we can talk about this next week. Now I've lost my screen, even though I'm sharing it. Where is it? I just thought, the thing with Castle is obviously the big breakdown here is it's not 15 zip. Sorry, it's not 20 nil. It is 20 nil, but you're only getting 15 zip for your battle points. And you're really getting up to 5. So like a quarter of your 20 nil, like 20 score is these bonus victory conditions. And if you're getting 1, you're only getting 1 bonus victory. If you're getting 2 of the 3, you're getting 3 bonus battle points. And if you get all 3 for every mission, you get 5. So they're pretty critical. And the other thing we can talk about next week, whatever is, the breakdowns and the differences aren't exactly equal, if you know what I mean. It goes up from 100 points and then suddenly to almost 300, then drops back a bit. So it feels like there's going to be a lot of games, battle points that sit in that, 8, 7, 9, 6, 10, 5. And then if you get it, you see you really need to be scoring some of these bonus victory points, I feel. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're right, because the way the victory points, it's so hard to extract victory points out of lists that often the differences are only a good win can certainly be like 800 point victory point difference in these games. Like to get to 2,000 points difference, it's really, really difficult.
Well, I mean, what was the biggest difference for you in that? For
me,
games? Yeah, was it probably 600 between
that
you?
ogre lists game? I think it was 850 points or something.
Okay. Difference, yeah. So that's a 10-5
difference
on this list. And then if you didn't get any of your bonus victory conditions, if you're 10-10ing, you know what I mean? So you're back to 10-10. So then you go, okay, well, what are these bonus victory? I don't need to go. I don't want to go through in depth because there's 5 missions here, but just in terms of the types of things. So the uncontested table quarters with unit strength 10, more standards held and captured. So that's just standards, including death of BSB. So I guess that's just a number, like how many standards do I have versus what I captured. end game with opponent's most expensive unit dead or fleeing. So like the ability to destroy, and if you've got dragons, you need to be able to beat up on, like, so for example, your ogre game, you can't get that if you don't kill the Stonehorn. You know what I mean? So there's going to be some that you go, okay, well, am I building for that?
Do I build in some Monster Slayer instead rather than Green Knight chaffing? I use Monster Slayer and try to kill these things. Yeah.
And then there's
That's the way to
Breakpoint,
go.
which is 25% of opponent's unit strength, 50% to 75%. So that's cool. Like that's basically a standard game in a way. That's just straight kill, but obviously try to kill as much. Although I guess it does depend on, an army that has a lot of unit strength might be able to hold off longer, potentially, rather than like if you throw everything into just, I don't know, like maybe big monsters, you don't have a massive unit strength because they're only like 9 and 8, you know what I mean? Like that type of thing.
Yeah.
Then you got flank attacks. So that's basically that deployment zones, but basically you're trying to get things in your opponent's flank, left flank or right flank. But basically it's all down to unit strength 10, end the game with no enemy unit in your deployment zone. So that's just I guess keep them out. Then there's end the game with more destroyed or fleeing units than yours, end the game with your general in the opponent's deployment zone, so maneuverability, end the game with at least 50% of your starting army's unit strength alive and not fleeing. So, really like a lot of unit strength stuff, here. And then there's the last one is end the game with 1 non-fleeing unit strength 10 plus in opponent's deployment zone, end the game with no non-fleeing opponent's units with unit strength 10 plus in yours, and end the game with 1 non-fleeing unit within 6 inches of your opponent's back table edge. So that's not a unit strength one that you could have some, tiny little carrion or something, flying
little
up
dog
the other end of the
unit.
board. Yeah. But I mean, the thing that I see here is lots of unit strength 10. So if you're talking about Cav, you need at least 5, but you probably need more to sustain deaths. And then there's this unit strength stuff in general around breaking or even just like destroying your most expensive unit. So there's a big mix. Like it's actually, I don't know. I feel like this is actually a really interesting pack more than they've done before in other castle
Kendall did
sites.
well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's almost like, do you go, okay, well, do I aim to just try get 2 of those on each?
Yeah.
I just want to have a chat. Maybe we don't do it tonight, but because it's getting late. But maybe we can, I don't know, maybe even get someone else on as well and just go through it in depth about like how would our list, what's the plan? I guess you don't want to give out all your secrets, but it doesn't really matter. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. So I think we have to go away with our lists and go, well, okay, well, do I even have this stuff in there? So,
yeah. Is it achievable? Yeah. Yes. Well, I was thinking that with mine. Obviously, we'll go into it, but yeah, I've got a lot of unit strength 10 exactly, and I'm like, well, I might have to.
Yeah, because you just sit there and just shoot a couple. Well, I mean, you're a bit different. It's vamps because you can raise them back, which is they're in range. But
if they're
yeah, that's like mine. Like I'm considering horse archers like 9, 2 units of 9, because that gives me 18 unit strength. So even if you shoot a few of them, I can run off. Maybe
and they're quite cheap. Yeah.
I don't know. So it's just little things like that which I'm starting to think about. But yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. Anyway,
Start thinking about it this week.
Yeah, something to look at, and then maybe we can chat about it next week about if we've made any changes or not, or what we're thinking. Yeah. Cool. Well, Josh, so do you like Old World, or you just like you said, the goods and bads? I guess.
Yeah, goods and bads. I did enjoy the weekend for sure.
Yeah, cool. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, but like both games, guys.
Yeah,
Said the Old World.
Awesome.
Never.
Old World lives.
That's some interesting responses about the campaign, by the way.
Oh, cool. People come out and chat.
Yeah, we were talking about just what I got planned and that type of thing.
Did you?
What?
Have you read any of the actual Old World like stuff at the back of the book there? I mean, I skimmed it the other day, but it's got campaigny stuff in there, but I don't think it's very in depth. But it's more like linking battles. Have you gone through that?
Yeah,
thing?
no, I didn't actually. I didn't actually
Yeah.
realize that was in there.
Yeah, it's got a few
No.
little things around that, and like, you know, characters get like if they've been injured, then what happens in the next game and stuff. So might be worth having a skim
Ooh,
to ideas.
there's injury stuff. Yeah, I'll have a look at that for sure. Okay, yeah, cool.
Bit of a squiz.
Nothing better than random injuries to suffer for your
Was that
character.
one?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure
yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Because I was looking through some stuff. I was like, yeah, I didn't even know this stuff was in here. Anyway, cool. I might wrap this one up then, and and so we can close it out and get this show out this week. Yeah, cool. Thanks for listening to another Old World Fanatics episode. If you enjoy our weekly ramblings, I'd love a 5-star review on your podcast software of choice. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button and click that bell to be notified of all our latest videos. And again, feel free to join our Patreon at patreon.com/oldworldfanatics if you want to jump on there and jump in our Discord. But other than that, guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Old World Fanatics. And Josh, Andrew, have a good week, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah,
Next
you
week.
too.
See you,
Cheers,
mate.
Ciao.
Have a good holiday.
Yeah.
Well.